Let's get an word from our consulting editor, Sports, Boria Majumdar, who's with us this morning. Also with us, Srinivasan Reddy from Chennai. I'm going to come to you first, Boria. Boria, clearly N. Srinivasan is looking for divine intervention. Probably the only thing that'll help him continue with his continue on the top chair.
You know, it's a very difficult situation for N. Srinivasan, no doubt. I mean, he's on a very, very sticky wicket. But the plan that his battery of lawyers and what he's come up with, what you've just told your viewers, is that let there be a time-bound probe. In fact, they will even agree, I can tell you this, they will even agree to a CBI probe. They will agree to a CBI probe as asked for by Shashank Manohar. They will then say that if there is a CBI probe, obviously Mr. Srinivasan will not be in a position to run the board by proxy or influence the CBI. So in that case, why should he not step aside? And why is the insistence on stepping down? Now that is the argument that the Srinivasan camp is perhaps likely to advance. Whether or not the court buys it is a different matter altogether. But you can absolutely say that the Srinivasan camp will say, let him step aside, let there be a time-bound probe, let it be even conducted by a national investigative agency like the CBI, let the Justice Mudgal Committee oversee it, but all said and done, don't insist on him stepping down, let him step aside. That's what will their argument be in the court 45 minutes from now.
All right, that's what N. Srinivasan's battery of lawyers will be fighting for in the Supreme Court today. Boria, I also wanted to ask you, what's the kind of support that N. Srinivasan at this stage enjoys within the BCCI?
He still enjoys decent support. I mean, there is no question. If you see that the number of voices that have come out in support of the Supreme Court's indictment are mostly former presidents. They are very, very credible people. Shashank Manohar, seriously credible people, but former presidents. A.C. Muthaya, Shashank Manohar, Inderjeet Bindra. All of these people broke their silence on headlines today, all of yesterday. But the fact is, how many of the ruling BCCI members have come out? How many of the affiliate units who have votes have come out? That is indicative of the fact that they are all waiting in the wings and watching, because they are watching to see what the Supreme Court does, clearly proving that it is still very, it's a tricky situation for them all. They don't want to jump into the bandwagon and say Srinivasan should quit, because if he stays on, then what happens to them? It is a very complex web, and there Srinivasan still enjoys a degree of support.
Absolutely. Boria, stay on with us. Let's also get in a word from Srinivasan Reddy, who's joining us from Chennai this morning. Srinivasan, tell us, how has the drama been playing out for the last 2 days, ever since the Supreme Court first indicted N. Srinivasan and said that he had to step aside for a fair probe?
Well, that's right, Maha, because as far as Srinivasan is concerned, he is, of course, remaining a very, very different person. He is not speaking to the media, though we have been trying to follow him and track him down. On the day when the Supreme Court observed that he has to step down now for investigation, he did not speak to the media. And even yesterday, we were waiting outside his residence. Throughout the day, he did not speak to the media. And again, today, it's doomsday for Srinivasan. In fact, though he has been receiving a lot of criticism in the BCCI itself, he is, holding on to his chair. Not just now, even then, he has been holding on to his chair, that he does not want to step down. There might be chance of stepping aside, but again, as Boria clearly pointed out, he is buying more time to check and also probe into explore legal avenues as far as this case is concerned. But again, he's under tremendous pressure that he has to step aside, because he had very few options left before him, though his legal team has been in touch with him. And yesterday also we did see BCCI counsel P.S. Raman meeting him, though he did say it's a courtesy call. They have been trying to look into legal options to see how more time they can buy to, will he step down, will he step aside to avoid further embarrassment, is what it's a $1 million question. Again, Srinivasan is the only person who can answer to all these questions.
Absolutely. Let's also get in a word from our consulting editor, Boria Majumdar, who's with us this morning. Boria, I also wanted to ask you, it's not just N. Srinivasan, but also the IPL's fate that's hanging in the balance.
Absolutely correct. The state of Chennai Super Kings, Rajasthan Royals, all of these questions are hanging in the balance. Most importantly, the state of cricket is hanging in the balance, because if there is a CBI inquiry ordered into spot fixing and match fixing, can you imagine what that means for the IPL? It will mean that CSK, Rajasthan Royals, several other matches will be investigated by the National Investigative Agency, the Central Bureau of Investigation. That will finish the IPL brand to whatever extent possible. I just want to tell you two things here. If you read today's newspapers and what the Srinivasan legal options are, they are saying that they might also take recourse to two things. One, a review petition, and two, a curative petition. Let me say this very, very clearly on headlines today. A curative petition or a review petition is not even in the ambit before a full and final order is given. So all of these things come into effect only after a full and final order is given by the Supreme Court. To say a review petition will happen, a curative petition will happen is complete nonsense. Because only when a final order is given by the Supreme Court can Mr. Srinivasan's camp ask. Also, 99 times out of 100 if you check records, what does this mean? It basically means you are going up to the Supreme Court and saying, there may have been a mistake, will you want to review your own judgment? 99 times out of 100 it is never acceded to. So his option is simple and only one. The option is, I will step aside, there should be a time-bound probe, let there be a CBI investigation, I cannot influence the CBI, so please allow me to step aside and not step down. Except that, there is no other option left in front of Mr. Srinivasan.
Absolutely, Boria, and we've been seeing a battery of former BCCI presidents hitting out at N. Srinivasan, demanding that he step down immediately, also saying that the tournament itself should be cancelled. Another argument put forth was that the idea to shift the IPL to the UAE, which is actually seen as a betting haven, is to ensure more irregularities in the game.
Correct. Is that for me?
Yes.
You know, absolutely. And if you see who are the people, Shashank Manohar, the man of highest credibility, absolute impeccable reputation, squeaky clean image, coming out and saying cannot take IPL matches to the UAE, saying IPL season 7 should be suspended, demanding a CBI probe. These are the three salient points of Shashank Manohar's statement, which was broken by headlines today, yesterday afternoon around 2 p.m. Muthaiya clearly coming out and saying Srinivasan has to go for the sake of cricket. I.S. Bindra echoing Shashank Manohar's statement demanding CBI probe. So there is enormous pressure. Make no mistake, there is enormous pressure on this man. Having said that, within the BCCI, there is still support. So it's a very, very tricky situation for Indian cricket. The only option, and I keep insisting on this, is step aside and not step down. Curative petition, review petition will not come into effect today. Only option is stepping aside, not step down, accepting a CBI probe, conceding that there should be a CBI probe even into Chennai Super Kings, accepting that let the Justice Mudgal Committee oversee that probe. That will be a huge, huge, huge embarrassment for the BCCI and for brand IPL.
Absolutely, and Boria, it's important to note that the IPL's self-appointed committee had given a clean chit to everyone who was accused of fixing and betting till the time that Justice Mudgal was asked to step in by the top court.
Correct. In fact, what is very, very interesting that you point that out here is that the BCCI appointed committee, if you still don't know who appointed, obviously Mr. Srinivasan may have had a hand, may not have a hand, we don't know. But the BCCI had appointed that committee of two former judges which had given everybody a clean chit, clear exoneration. Now, if the Supreme Court appoints the CBI to investigate, think the ramifications, think the importance of that order, think the importance and significance of that order for brand IPL and for Indian cricket. The BCCI will look horrible. It will be major embarrassment for the BCCI if a CBI probe is ordered. Also, what happens to CSK? Will they be suspended pending the CBI probe? Will Rajasthan Royals be suspended pending the CBI probe? What will that mean for IPL? It is absolutely enormous as far as Indian cricket is concerned.
Absolutely. The fate of N. Srinivasan and of IPL and the BCCI hanging in the balance. The big announcement coming, expected in at least 20 minutes. Let's also get a word from Shresha Shetty, who's joining us from Chennai. Shresha, what's the mood like in Srinivasan's household and the India Cements office?
Well, I can tell you this is the place where we are standing right now. This is N. Srinivasan's boat club residence. We have been waiting here for the past couple of days to get a word from N. Srinivasan, who has been remaining very calm. His body language is very calm. This morning he had gone out of his residence again. He came, and there have been a lot of people who have been coming to meet him. And yesterday even BCCI counsel P.S. Raman had met N. Srinivasan at his residence, though he said it's a courtesy call. And there are also reports that there are other BCCI members who are also coming to meet N. Srinivasan at his residence right now. And as you clearly pointed out, of course, it is hanging in balance, that he is under tremendous pressure to step aside. But though N. Srinivasan has not given a word, his camp is saying that they will try to look into the process. They have been trying to explore legal avenues to see if they can buy more time as far as this case is concerned. Again, as N. Srinivasan's son-in-law Gurunath Mayappan had agreed that he was involved in friendly betting, there all the more pressure that has been coming on N. Srinivasan at this point in time, as he just has a few more minutes to know what the case is going to be like, and what in future that he can do as far as these BCCI matters are concerned.
All right, so Boria Shesha telling us there that BCCI officials have also been coming to meet N. Srinivasan at his Chennai residence. I want to ask you, is it fear or general respect that this man commands within the board?
There is nothing more to that, because, if you see the BCCI, it's a coterie, it's a cozy club, it's a precedent-driven organization, nothing more. There's nothing to do with, the Supreme Court of the land is saying your presence is nauseating. How can that command respect? There's nothing to do with respect here. It's about politics. How does Indian cricket run itself? You've got to be objective. It is not about Srinivasan. It is about Indian cricket. And I keep insisting this point. Srinivasan staying on or going doesn't matter. The cleanup of Indian cricket matters. In his position, can he stay on and clean Indian cricket? The Supreme Court doesn't think so. And that is what is important. But Sanjay Patel, the BCCI secretary, I'm told, will have to go and meet him, will go and meet him. Several of his coterie members will have to go and meet him. Our correspondent was just telling us from Chennai that, he's under tremendous pressure. His team is trying to buy time whether he steps aside. There is no two ways. He has to go. But whether it is stepping aside or whether it is stepping down, that is the question. You cannot buy more time in terms of saying, oh, give me more time till next week. Maybe next hearing day is Tuesday. So that is not going to happen. What is going to happen is, does he step down? Does the Supreme Court put the guillotine and say, step down? Or does the Supreme Court say, okay, step aside, we will institute a CBI probe, you will have to stay outside of the purview of the BCCI, let the probe happen, and then we will decide your fate. In the interim, what does the court say about CSK, RR and the IPL? So the question is simple, step down or step aside. Anything else is not within the ambit of Srinivasan's, escape route. Whatever happens is an embarrassment. Even if it is step aside, it is a massive, massive embarrassment for Narayan Swamy Srinivasan. Make no mistake about it.
Absolutely. All eyes trained at the Supreme Court this morning. A crucial verdict expected in about half an hour's time from now. And as Boria Majumdar is telling us, it's not just the fate of N. Srinivasan, but the fate of Indian cricket that will be decided today. Thanks so much, Boria and Shesha, for taking us through developments.